No, he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. All right. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Catskills. I am Vicki O'Doherty, the worship associate for this morning. My pronouns are she, her. Many thanks to our technical team, Tom Hackett, who is our sanctuary technical host, and Don Critchell, our Zoom host, for their help in this morning's service. We are excited to have attendees both in person and in the sanctuary, that is, as well as virtually on Zoom. If you are new to the congregation, you can now stand and introduce yourself if you want to. Anybody want to introduce themselves? Okay. A big welcome to everyone. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religious faith that carries no creed and welcomes all seekers. Wherever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. We are guided by a set of principles and written sources that encompass the many ways we have come to know and understand the world, the universe, and the divine. Our principles are important to us at UU Catskills, and we live our values on a daily basis. We affirm that Black lives matter. We are a welcoming congregation for the LGBTQ community. We are a congregational affiliate of the Ulster Immigrant Defense Network, and we are an active voice in the effort to address climate change. Our sanctuary is built on the tribal land of the Lenni Lenape people. You can visit our website, uucatskills.org, to find contact information for us, to be added to our mailing list, and to find the latest newsletter. You'll also find newsworthy items on upcoming events in our UU community. If you are a visitor online and would like to be added to our mailing list, you can put your name and email address in the chat box area on Zoom. A reminder that people of all ages, children, young and old, are welcome here at UU Catskills. There is a space across the hall for anyone who would like to hear the service while being able to freely move about. I have two announcements this morning. Coffee hour hosts are needed. Please see Kathy DiMatteo. Where is she? There she is over there. Okay, after the service, if you can help continue this much enjoyed part of our Sunday services. Another announcement, First Acoustics, the concert series that Coco and Bruce Wilde run, is back. The first concert for this new season here at UU Catskills will be Sunday afternoon, October 22, presenting Rachel Kilgore, a nationally known singer-songwriter who is visiting us from Minnesota. If you'd like to learn more or buy tickets, please see Coco or Bruce. They also have some flyers. There they are. That's our announcements. That's it. A reminder to take a moment and turn off your cell phones or other electronic devices. Please give yourself permission to be fully present here and now. After the service, please stay for an in-person or virtual coffee break. And today we have vegan snacks over there, okay, since our service is about veganism, all right? So you can try and see. For our prelude this morning, Bill Toole will perform Minuet by Franz Joseph Haydn. But Bill is ill today, and he's doing it from home, and you'll hear him, but not see him. Okay, and he's going to do the offertory also. Please join me in saying the words for lighting the chalice in your order of service. As Mary Alice lights the chalice. Mary Alice Scully.
I'm a grandkid.
You usually have the children do this. We don't have any today. We light this chalice in grateful, loving community. Even in the darkest of times, may its flame light paths to courage, justice, and hope. Now please join me in saying the words for the unison affirmation that are in your order of service. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love to all needs. May we know once again that we are not isolated, but connected in wonder and joy, to mystery and miracle in the universe, in this community, and in each other. Our opening words are by Reverend Forrest Gilmore. Our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence, is a glorious statement. Yet we make a profound mistake when we limit it to merely an environmental idea. It is so much more. It is our response to the great dangers of both individualism and oppression. It is our solution to the seeming conflict between the individual and the group. Our seventh principle may be our Unitarian Universalist way of coming to fully embrace something greater than ourselves. The interdependent web expressed as the spirit of life, the ground of all being, the oneness of all existence, the community forming power, the process of life, the creative force, even God, can help us develop the social understanding of ourselves that we and our culture so desperately need. It is a source of meaning to which we can dedicate our lives. Please stand if you're able and join in singing hymn number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. Thank you. Our not for children only story today is called Amira's Porpoise, and it was written by Chrissy Bushyeager. So, there was once a girl named Amira, and all she wanted for her birthday was a porpoise of her very own. She wished and hoped and dreamed of a porpoise. She asked her parents and her grandparents. She told all her friends at school that she was getting a porpoise for her birthday. But her birthday came and went, and she did not get a porpoise. She was disappointed, and she wanted answers. So she asked her parents, and they said, "Oh, Amira, we couldn't get you a porpoise. This is something, a purpose, pardon," she said. They said, "We couldn't get you a purpose. That is something you need to seek out for yourself." Amira looked at her parents kind of funny and said, "You know I said porpoise, right? Like the sea mammal that's smaller than a dolphin." And her parents looked at each other and said, "Oops, but you can't have a wild animal for your birthday anyway." She asked her grandparents, and they said, "Oh, Amira, we can't get you a purpose. You'll have to figure out your own purpose when you're older, and sometimes even adults don't know their own purpose." At this point, Amira was getting a little annoyed. "I said porpoise! Porpoise, the sea animal, like a small dolphin." Her grandparents said, "Oh, sorry, we misheard you. But we wouldn't have brought you a porpoise anyway. They belong in the wild, dear." Amira was fuming. Why had no one understood her when she wanted a porpoise? And now that she thought about it, why were the adults unwilling to give her a purpose either? What was a purpose anyway? So Amira set about finding a purpose. Over the next several years, she asked lots of adults that she knew and trusted. Some of the adults said, "I don't know, that's a really hard thing to explain." But some of the adults gave her some good advice. They said, "Pay attention to the things you care about and how you can use those to make a difference in the world. You may not have a clear idea about it yet, but your purpose will certainly change over time. But if you think about it, the things you value and how you can use those things for good, you'll be on the right track." So Amira thought about the things she valued and cared about, things like animals and the habitats they live in. She thought about the things she'd like to do, things like learning new things and teaching those to younger children. She thought about her heroes, people who were living their lives in ways that she wanted to copy. And she thought about what was possible and ways that she could change the world when she was older. And eventually, after some time and some work, Amira came up with her purpose. And the funny thing is that Amira's purpose didn't stray too far from porpoises. She decided that her purpose was to be a caring advocate for the earth and to teach others about conservation. And that's just what she did. So we have no children today, so we're not going to sing them out. We usually have a song that we sing for them. Okay. Now our section is called, this time is called Joys and Concerns. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. If you would like, you can raise your hand to share a joy or concern with us. Cheryl Chandler will bring the microphone to you. I just ask that you keep it close so people can hear you when you use it. So, may we remember those who have spoken, those they have named, and those we hold in silence in our hearts. This last stone represents those. Thank you. Our meditation today is called "This is Our Home, but Not Just Ours." It's by Laura Bogle. We gather here to remember this is our home, but not just ours. This land we live on, this water we drink, air we breathe, these old mountains that hold us steady to our ground, these forests that give us their healing green, these flowers that give us their beauty and fragrance, these fields that give us our daily bread, these stars that show us our place. The wilderness and the tame backyards, all of it is our home. We remember the ancestors who have lived on this land and who have shaped it. The Lenni Lenape people, the settlers, the mountaineers, the farmers, the hunters, the immigrants, the artists, the families, the explorers, the business people, the engineers, the builders, the scientists, the teachers, and the leaders. We inherit their choices. We honor the animals and creatures that have made their home in this land, the ones here now and the ones that used to be here. We envision the future generations who will live on this land and let their voices fill our hearts. We gather here to remember this is our home, but not just ours. Our guest speaker today is Roberta Schiff. Roberta has a master's degree in, oh, hold on one second, I skipped this part. The olfactory. Sorry about that. Through the half plate donations, we contribute to local organizations who are living our values in the work they do. Today we have Devin Wood, who is the direct care and outreach coordinator for one of our charities that we donate to, Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative, which is in line with food today. You can see that whole theme. He will speak to us about the important work of the collaborative. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for having me, this lovely service. Karen, thank you for inviting me. Yes, I am Devin Wood, the Direct Service and Outreach Coordinator at the Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative. And our primary mission, amongst many other things that we do, is to fight food injustice and insecurity and hopefully provide food sovereignty for everyone. We came about when a group of people amidst the pandemic, this was March 2020, which feels like both a lifetime ago and yesterday all at the same time. And a group of people in the community came together and said, we have to do something. This was when the schools had closed, and particularly children weren't getting lunches from the schools, families were out of work, things like that. So a bunch of wonderful people came together. And on March 18th, 2020, we did our first community lunch delivery, which we still continue to do today. At that time, they were getting meals from the YMCA, and there were hundreds, I want to say at one point, something like 250 or 300 meals a day were going out to the community. And essentially, there was this network of volunteers that were doing deliveries, that were cooking the meals, packing, and things like that. And that's continued today. And now we still do 150 meals a day, roughly, from the Everett Hodge Center over on Franklin Street. And they are just absolutely wonderful. And we still have tons of volunteers. We've had over 900 volunteers throughout since we've started, which is absolutely insane. So we're going to hit that 1,000 mark pretty soon, hopefully. And so we still do the meals, and we've also worked with different organizations, different pantries throughout. We've done grocery deliveries, and we, as of September, which was now yesterday, because it's October 1st today, as of September, we now officially actually have our own shared space at the United Methodist Church on Clinton Avenue. So we are able to pack and provide the groceries ourselves, and now able to start doing food drives and things like that and have a place to store stuff, because previously our storage space was just the little counter space underneath my kitchen counter, so, which is scarce. So we're starting to organize things like food drives, things like what we're doing today. So thank you again for having me here. And hopefully we will be able to continue to get groceries and meals to people in the community, and just keep continuing our mission with the help of everyone. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Devin. So we do a half plate collection, and it covers 7 community groups, and ourselves. Half of the plate goes to the community groups. And Devin's is one of those. So you can donate with our half plate today, or you can use the donate page on our website with Venmo, or you can mail your check through the US mail. We have a QR code on our order of service today also, which is a way of donating. Our offertory music, which will be done by Bill Toole, is from Sonatina Opus 20, number 1 by J.L. Dussek, and Bill is at home playing it. All right, all right. I think so. I think so. I think so. Go ahead. Right, here we go. How's that? Okay. All right, all right, all right. Ooh. All right, good. All right, our guest speaker today is Roberta Schiff. Roberta has... It's off? Okay, good. It's off. Great. All right, so our guest speaker today is Roberta Schiff for the third time. There you go, Roberta. Roberta has a master's degree in community health education from the University of Kansas. A 30-year resident of Rhinebeck, she is the coordinator of the not-for-profit Hudson Valley Vegans. She has tabled extensively and presented at a variety of venues. Roberta was introduced to activism by Ray Schlecht, who is a long-term member of this congregation, who has since passed away. But here she goes. Roberta.
Okay, thank you, Vicki.
You're welcome. Yeah, she's gonna. Yeah, I'll move it. You got it on short mode.
Okay. All right, thank you, Vicki. It is a real pleasure to be here. And when I was starting to think about how I would address this issue, I thought of something that happened quite a few years ago. A friend of mine was sitting on her couch, and she glanced over at her dog and she said, his hindquarters kind of look like a leg of lamb, but I certainly wouldn't cook and eat him. And that was the beginning of her journey to giving up consuming animals, becoming vegan, and starting a vegan group. And who was this? Vicki just mentioned her, Ray Schlecht. So, yes, some of you look like you've been coming here more than a few months. How many of you remember Ray? All right, good. Ray was a lovely, lovely woman, and she had many interests, and she pulled them all together and started our group. And then she said to me, okay, my 6-year term is up, you're next. So that's how it happened for me. And Vicki just said that it's an important part of Unitarian Universalists to live your values on a daily basis. And values, of course, are what we do. They are not lofty things that we believe. If we don't do them, carry them out in our daily lives, they're really not a value. They're just something on paper. So people don't like to hear this, but those who are still consuming animal products, meat, milk, eggs, dairy, you are supporting cruelty to animals, supporting the overuse of land and water and electricity and transportation, and all of this is contributing to climate change. And it is possible to make the change and to enjoy making the change. A lot of people say to me, well, I could never be vegan because I like meat. Well, I didn't give it up because I didn't like it. I gave it up, and so did many others, once we learned what happens when it is produced and what these effects are. And we find other things that can be just as enjoyable. The principle that's the one used for today's service is just perfect for this: respect for the interdependent web of which we are all a part, because it's all connected. The use of the land, the use of the water, the treatment of the animals. And so that's something to try to think about in a different way. And our health, of course, is also involved. And people have different reasons why they think it's important. For some people, health is the most important. For some people, not participating in cruelty to animals is the most important. And for other people, it's the use of land, or more recently, climate change, which I'm sure you've noticed the articles have switched in the past year or so from climate change is coming to climate change is here. And I think we're pretty lucky up here. We haven't had any really terrible things happen, but look what happened in New York City just a couple of days ago. So there's a lot to not only talk about, but to do. And so maybe I can tell you a few things that you didn't know as well. And speaking of that, people will say, don't tell me, I don't want to know, I don't want to know. And I understand that. We don't like to learn about unpleasant things. But what really gets to me quite often is that it's okay for people to keep on eating meat, milk, eggs, butter, cheese, but it's not okay to tell them how that gets to the market and to their plate. So I am going to talk about that a little bit. We all have these things that we've grown up with. Like, if I were to ask you, what is the best source of protein? What are you going to answer? Meat, right? Most people will answer meat. Isn't that what you've always learned? But would you be just horrified if I said that that's not really true? And why isn't it true? Because proteins are made of what? Amino acids, good. And 9 of them are essential, and they can only be made by plants. When animals, including us, ingest amino acids, we break them down and rearrange them into the muscle tissue and myriad other proteins that we need. So it is not necessary at all to get your protein from animal tissues. I have not eaten animal products in 30 years. And I'm in really good health. Had some tests recently, and again, my doctor was amazed at all the things about the heart and the lungs and so on. And somebody can say, yeah, but she came up here with a cane. I saw her use it. And yeah, it doesn't protect you against everything. I had a successful hip replacement, and then something else happened that wasn't so good that they couldn't fix. So yes, I walk better with a cane than I do without it. And plus I don't look as if I'm drunk, which is a bad thing, especially before noon. So, but the other things inside that don't show, I'm in better shape than a lot of people my age because of not eating animal protein for so long. Many people believe that the more protein you eat, the better. But actually, once you meet your needs for energy and replacing cells, the extra protein is a burden. The analogy I've been using, I'll have to change it pretty soon, is 1 newspaper in your driveway is nice. 15 newspapers in your driveway is a nuisance. What are you going to do with them? But pretty soon people won't know what a newspaper is, so I'll have to come up with something else. So your liver has to pull apart all this extra protein and take the sulfur out of it, because sulfur is what differentiates protein from carbohydrates. And it has to tear it down so it can be gotten rid of. So because we do not store protein. We store fat, but fat doesn't have sulfur in it. So the other elements in it can be stored, but the sulfur has to be gotten rid of. And so what does all this have to do with religious values? People say, well, the Bible doesn't say you can't have hamburgers. Well, actually it does, very early too. Genesis 1:29, I give you every seed-bearing fruit they shall be for your food, and definitely advocates eating only plants. Now that changed after Noah, and the reason it changed was there weren't very many plants around. And so usually the discussion ends there, but there's something else. If people kept on only animals and no plants, and there weren't any plants, eventually the animals would have all died if the plants didn't come back, because the animals would not have had anything to eat. So, why is it, going back to Ray and her dog, does it really make sense to say, okay, here are some animals, they're our friends, they're our pets, they're called cats and dogs, and we buy them coats and we brush them and they have their own doctors, and we talk about them to our friends. And then here's these other animals. They don't have names. We've never known them. They are raised all crowded together and slaughtered so that we can eat their flesh. It really doesn't make much sense, especially in our world today when we have plenty of vegetables available. And it's really amazing the amount of land and water and electricity that's used if we went totally vegan, everybody. I know that's not going to happen, but if that happened, we could reduce land use by 80%. And I checked this in more than one place because that seems like too much. But growing grain and cycling grain through animals is wasteful. And you get much more in the way of calories and energy if you eat the vegetables. Now, that said, you need to eat things that you mostly can recognize. So, because we have so much processed food now. And what are the two main ingredients in processed food? Sugar, salt, and white flour. You need to find a good source of a whole grain bread. Bread alone makes a whole wheat sourdough that I like a lot. And there are other whole grain breads. And you should limit your white flour to special occasions, which is what people used to do before the invention of the automatic roller mill. White flour was a delicacy. People ate, they were kind of coarse, but they ate whole grains during the week. So in the Jewish tradition, we serve challah on Friday night, and challah was a treat made with white flour and only eaten on the Sabbath. And I've had people say to me, well, can't you make a whole wheat challah? Well, the challah is supposed to be a white bread, although I put a little bit of spelt flour and wheat germ because you make it with all white flour. It's a little not so tasty. But for every day, we should eat whole grains and we should limit sugar. And the Bible also tells us that our body is a temple and we should take care of it. And taking care of your body is not just taking the pills. Yeah, that's real easy. You screw the cap off and drink them with a little water. Thank you for the water. And, that's done. Preparing and eating better food takes a little work. And I've had people say, I can't do that. It's too much work. I'd be vegan if it wasn't so much work. And I'd say, what are you talking about? You have to cut up all those vegetables. Well, even if you're never going to give up animal food, if you do not eat vegetables, you cannot have optimum health. And there are a lot of things we do when we don't think about, do I like it? Do you ever think about, do I really like brushing my teeth and especially flossing? Do I really like, and especially as we get older, taking the sheets off the bed and washing them and putting them back on? Do I really like to do that? No, but they get kind of grungy after a while, and it feels good when you have nice, clean sheets on your bed. Feels good when you have clean clothes, clean dishes, when you have the right things in your refrigerator to make what you want. I wanted to quote someone. He was a writer of short stories. You may have heard of his. His name was Isaac Bashevis Singer. He was originally Polish, but he spent a good chunk of his life in New York City. And some years back, I was asked to table at a conference for the Jewish Reconstructionist Federation on this topic. So I got together books and pamphlets and handouts and all the things you need to table, and I made some signs, and I drove up to Montreal, and I set up my table, and I decided I would quote Isaac Bashevis Singer, but I didn't put his name on there. I just put on what he said, which was, in their behavior towards creatures, all men are Nazis. Humans see oppression vividly when they are the victims. Otherwise, they victimize blindly and without thought. So I had this sign, and I think you can figure out what people did. You can't say that. No, I didn't say that. Isaac Bashevis Singer said that. So I don't know if that got anybody thinking, but I had a good time doing that. And when I was researching for this talk, I found another quote of his that I had never heard, which I thought was quite good. So I'll share it with you. The smugness with which man could do with other species as he pleased exemplifies the most extreme racist theories. The principle that might is right. So when he learned all this and stopped eating meat himself, he really spoke out in a way that there was absolutely no question about what he believed. So let's talk about what it is in your power to do, because not everybody can afford an electric car, or even if they got one, you may live somewhere where there's no place to charge it. And not everyone can choose how you're going to heat and cool your home or your workplace. We can all become politically active, and that's a good thing to do, but we really as individuals cannot directly influence government or corporate activity. But we can, almost all of us, choose what we purchase and what we consume. And that is in our power. Let's see, how long have we been here? It is 11:30, almost, not quite. We've been here now about an hour and a half. 1,500,000 animals have been slaughtered while we're here. It's 1 million per hour just in the United States, 24 hours a day. The numbers are just absolutely huge. And I've had people say, oh, what do I do? I mean, what will we do? I mean, there just will be all these cows wandering around. But you all know some basic economics, supply and what? Demand, okay. And manufacturers make the things that people buy. Advertisers channel us to buy certain things. But there is no way that people would overnight, I mean, that would happen if overnight people stopped eating meat, everybody, but that's not going to happen. But if people keep cutting back, cutting out more and more each year, and the demand is less, then the manufacture will go down. So that's the way to do it. And so it certainly is, or should be, a religious value, because we don't believe in cruelty. We don't believe in destroying the environment. And yet when we do something every day that's within our power to change it, then we are really not espousing religious values. And I've been working on this for about 20 years, and I'd like to tell you about all these wonderful successes that I have had. I've had some, but not as much as I'd like. In my own congregation, if you ask them, oh, she makes wonderful food. Well, I make the food because I want people to know that you can make things that are delicious and interesting and fun without using any animal products. If you look in the front row here, and Rosalie, all of these people are vegan. They don't look weak and sick and bedraggled, and they're doing well. And thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And so I think I've just got a few more minutes. Pardon me? I still didn't hear that. Oh, yeah, all right, yes, okay. Okay, thank you, Rosalie. All right, this is Dr. Michael Greger. This book is called How Not to Die. If you want to make changes, this is a very good guide. And some of you are looking, I'm not going to read a big fat book like that. Well, you don't have to read the whole thing. It's divided into 2 sections. The first one is got 15 chapters. How not to die of heart disease. How not to die of diabetes. How not to die if you're a damn fool. I made that one up. Anyway, my suggestion is look at those and read 2, maybe 3 chapters. Don't read them all, or at least at first. Then switch to the second half of the book, which is Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen plan. And a friend of mine, when I told her about the book, says, it's going to tell me what I can't eat, and I don't like that. I said, no, actually, he doesn't tell you what not to eat. He tells you what he thinks you should eat and suggests ways that you can keep track of it. And the nice thing about this is that once you fill yourself up with the good things, there's not so much room for the bad things. And another thing I like about this is you can do it, like Frank Sinatra said, my way. You can be absolutely obsessive compulsive about filling in your chart and all that, or you can just make some check marks, or you can just memorize what the daily dozen are and say, let's see, did I have that? Did I have that? Oh, I better make another vegetable here. So it's a way to help you, and you can use it in your own style. So if you want to do this and you want to get this book, another obsession of mine, support bookstores, please. There are 4 bookstores in Kingston. I looked them up. And don't get it from Amazon. I don't think we'll all live to see it, but someday that's going to be the only place people can buy things. So get it from a bookstore. Go online, see if Thrift Books has any. It's a wonderful place to buy lightly used books for a good price. And don't be like Nate. It says here, to Nate, for your health, 10/5/21. Nate got it as a gift and sold it to Thrift Books. I'll close with this. I would be willing to start a group of people wanting to do the Daily Dozen plan if there's, say, at least somewhere between 6 and 12 people, where we could meet once a week for maybe 6 weeks, and sometimes it's helpful to do something with a group support. So think about that, and thank you so much. Okay. Do I have time for any questions, or we need to move on?
We'll do that.
Okay, you know what, when we have the refreshments, if you have questions, come up and ask me, okay?
Yep.
All right.
How many vegans are here today, by the way? I wanted to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vegans. If you have any questions about what the hell do we eat, okay, you just ask these people, all right? I had a whole grain bagel this morning and tempeh, fake and bacon, all right? So, yeah, so they do make a fake and bacon thing. Because I do like bacon. All right. Yeah. No pigs died for my breakfast. All right. Thank you very much, Robbie.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity.
Very good. All right. Please rise if you're able and join in singing our closing hymn, number 175. 175, we celebrate the web of life. Our closing words today, blessed are all living things, by Maureen Killeran. For the blessing of animal companions, we give thanks. For the beautiful ones, those whose fur is silky and whose tails are long, whose feathers are brilliant or whose voices are splendid, we give thanks. For the frantic ones, the runts and the angry, who run for a food bowl or a pat as though this is life's last possible gift, we give thanks. For the obnoxious ones, the heads that butt against us as we're trying to sleep, the bodies that refuse to learn discretion as they make digestive gifts, we give thanks. For those who bark and purr and growl and mew, for all who squeak or squawk or snarl or hiss, we give thanks. For the animals unknown to us, those whose niche in life's web is fragile, for whose lives are insecure, for all who care for them and wish them well, we give thanks. Blessed are the animals. Blessed are the creatures who live with us and need our care. Blessed are the mammals and the reptiles and the birds who teach us we are not alone. Blessed are all living things from whom we learn to love. Please join me in saying the closing words that are in your order of service. For extinguishing the flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of divinity, or the fire of these we until we are together again. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to